Okay, today we start chapter 8, topic 1. We're starting chapter 8. Chapter 8 is rational functions and rational expressions. Okay, rational would be a fraction essentially. Um, so first let's take a look at how to simplify a rational expression. Mainly has to do with factoring. Okay, so if we're simplifying, the first thing we do is factor, if necessary. Then we cancel out any factors that occur in the numerator and denominator. After that, after we've eliminated factors, we don't want any factors in our final expression, we multiply the remaining factors back together. Okay, so we factor and then we unfactor, we distribute. And then we figure out if there were any restrictions to the function. Okay, so that would be numbers that make the denominator 0. Okay, that would be zeros of the denominator. All right, so let's take a look at how this looks. So number 1, we got 3x minus 12 over, now 4 minus x, you do not want to write it that way. Okay, you want to write standard form if it's not in standard form. So we're going to put negative x plus 4 because that would be standard form. Okay, so first we want to factor the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so the numerator, we know that we can factor a 3 out of this and get x minus 4. The numerator or denominator, we can factor a negative 1 out of that because they don't have anything in common, but the first term is negative, and you always need to factor out a negative if the first term is negative. So if I factor out a negative 1, I'm left with x minus 4. Okay, at this point, before we start canceling anything, okay, I know I can see something's going to get canceled, but before I do that, check the denominator for any numbers that would make the factor 0. In this case, 4 would make this factor 0, so we cannot have an x value of 4. Okay, why? Because you can't have a denominator of 0, and 4 would make the denominator 0. Okay, next we cancel factors that occur in the numerator and denominator, okay, which x minus 4 occurs in the numerator and the denominator. So all we have left is 3 in the numerator, negative 1 in the denominator, and 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. So this would be the simplified form of this expression right here. However, it has restrictions. X cannot be equal to 4. Right? X cannot be equal to 4. So, yeah. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Number 2. 5x times x squared plus 4x plus 3 divided by x minus 6, x squared minus 9. Okay, so some of this is factored, some of it is not factored. We need to make sure all of it is factored. So first, in the numerator, the 5x is factored out, but the x squared plus 4x plus 3 is not factored, and that can be factored because 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So we know that can factor into x plus 3 and x plus 1. Okay, so numerator has 3 factors, 5x, x plus 3, and x plus 1. In the denominator, I have x minus 6, but x squared minus 9 can be factored because it's a difference of 2 squares, x to the second power and 3 to the second power. So that can factor into x plus 3 and x minus 3. So the denominator has 3 factors. All right, let's stop for a second and check for any restrictions for this expression. And we do have restrictions. We know that x cannot equal to 6, and it cannot equal to 3, and it cannot equal to -3. Okay, none of those values are allowed. Okay, now let's cancel out factors that occur in the numerator and denominator. So x plus 3, and that's it. So we're left with, in the numerator, 5x times x plus 1. In the denominator, x minus 6 and x minus 3. Okay, now we multiply it back together. Okay, we don't want our final expression to be in factored form. We want it to be in standard form. So we're going to multiply, we're going to distribute it back together. So 5x times x, 5x squared, 5x times 1 is 5x. And the denominator, I need to distribute like this. X times x is x squared. X times -3 is -3x. -6 times x is -6x. And -6 times -3 is +18. Combine the like terms. So 5x squared plus 5x over x squared minus 9x plus 18. This would be our simplified expression. And that has restrictions that x cannot be equal to 6, 3, or -3. All right, now we need to simplify number 3. 2x times x plus 5 times x squared plus 2x minus 8 in the numerator. Denominator, x minus 1 times x plus 5 times x minus 2. There's only one thing that needs factoring here, and that's the quadratic in the numerator. And that can factor into 4 and 2. No. What? Can it? Yeah. 4 times -2 is -8. 4 plus -2 is +2. So that can factor into, so we got 2x times x plus 5, and that can factor into x plus 4 and x minus 2. Denominator, we have x minus 1, x plus 5, and x minus 2. Okay, so I can cancel out factors that show up in the numerator and denominator, like x plus 5 and x minus 2. So in the numerator, I have 2x times x plus 4. Oh, I need to do the restrictions real quick before I finish. Well, let me just finish writing this. And then denominator of x minus 1. Just so I know my restrictions, x cannot be equal to 1, cannot be equal to -5, and can't be equal to 2. Okay, just need to put this back into standard form by distributing. We got 2x squared plus 8x over x minus 1. And that would be my simplified expression. And it has the restrictions, x cannot be equal to 1, -5, or 2. All right, number 4, simplifying -56x y squared to the 4th power over 42x cubed y cubed. Okay, not really in the same vein of what we've been doing, but it is the same idea. So negative 56 can be factored into negative 1 times 8 times 7. Let me do it a different way. So let me simplify this. So negative 56 x, and then that's y to the 8th power, because it's 2 times 4. And these are all multiplied. And we have 42 times x cubed times y cubed. Okay, so I just have to use the properties of exponents here. So I will simplify negative 56 over 42. Okay, so this is 8 times 7, and this is, no, that's not going to work. 8, 4, and 2, 14. I think 14 goes into both of them, but I'm not sure. Yeah, 14 does go into both of them. This is 14 times 4, and this is 14 times 3. The 14s would cancel. So that would be negative 4x to the first, y to the 8th, over 3x cubed, y cubed. Okay, now if I have one x on the top and three x's on the bottom, then one of these x's would cancel with one of these x's, and I'd have 2 left on the bottom. So this is, and same thing with the y. 8 y's on top, 3 y's on bottom would leave me with 5 y's on top. So this is negative 4 y to the 5th over 3x squared. And you can easily see that if you write these out. So x, 8 y's, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then denominator 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 y's, 2, 3. Okay, so if you cancel the things that appear in the top and bottom, so an x, 1y, 2y, 3y, then you can see that we have negative 4, 5y's over 3, and 2 x's. And the restriction here is that x cannot be equal to 0. But I don't think you have to do the restrictions for this because they have got like x and y, so. But yeah, we'll do it anyways. In the denominator, x cannot be equal to 0. Okay, and then number 5, we have 2x squared plus 9x plus 4 over x squared minus 16. Okay, now the issue with this one is that you actually have to factor the numerator by grouping. Okay, so you can't really use a shortcut on that one. Denominator is a difference of two squares, so that's x plus 4 and x minus 4. But the numerator, we have to actually factor by grouping. So a times c in the top is 8, and b is in the bottom, so positive 9. Two numbers that multiply to 8 and add to 9 are 8 and 1. So 2x squared plus 9x plus 4 can be written using 4 terms, 2x squared plus 8x plus x plus 4, and then we can factor this by grouping, factor out a 2 and a 1, a 2x and a 1, so 2x, x plus 4, plus 1, x plus 4. So these both have x plus 4 as a factor, so that can factor out x plus 4, 2x plus 1. Okay, so that's what this factors into, x plus 4, 2x plus 1. Restrictions. X cannot be equal to 4, and x cannot be equal to negative 4. Now the x plus 4's cancel, so all we are left with is 2x plus 1 over x minus 4. And this would be the simplified version of number 5, the simplified form with these restrictions. All right, and then number 6, we got p squared plus 2p minus 3 over p cubed minus 2p squared minus 15p. And then it's simplified, which values of p is the expression undefined, so that would be the restrictions here. So we'll start with factoring the numerator. So we got positive 3 times negative 1 and positive 3 plus negative 1. So the numerator factors into p plus 3 and p minus 1. I could start factoring the denominator by first factoring out a p. So that leaves me with p squared minus 2p minus 15. And then it appears I need to factor it again with 5 and 3. So negative 5 times 3, negative 5 plus 3. P plus 3, p minus 1, p minus 5, and p plus 3. And of course the restrictions here, p cannot be equal to 0, p cannot be equal to 5, and p cannot be equal to negative 3. Okay, so the only thing that cancels here is the p plus 3. So in the numerator, I have p minus 1. In the denominator, I have p times p minus 5. Okay, I do want to distribute. So I got p minus 1 over p squared minus 5p, and that would be my simplified expression. These are the restrictions. Any of these values will make this undefined. All right, here are the practice problems for the homework.